You didn't lose that trade because you lacked skill. You lost it because your fear clicked the mouse, not your plan. Because your ego doubled down when it should have stepped aside. Because your hope held on longer than your logic could justify. This isn't just a story about charts, indicators, or entry signals. This is the story of your mind, rewired, of how a quiet conversation with artificial intelligence turned chaos into clarity, and how the trader you've always wanted to become might finally be one prompt away. So, if you've ever stared at your screen wondering why your results don't match your potential, this is the video you were meant to find. I remember the exact moment it broke me. It was 2:08 a.m. The fifth cup of coffee sat cold next to my mouse. My eyes, bloodshot and burning, stared blankly at another setup that looked perfect until it wasn't. The red candle dropped like a guillotine. My stop loss hit, another small, painful loss. The kind that doesn't hurt your account as much as it cuts into your soul. I didn't scream. I didn't slam the table. I just sat there, silent, watching the same story unfold again. The same plan, the same discipline, the same failure. You see, it wasn't one trade that broke me. It was the weight of 1,000 little cracks finally collapsing all at once. And in that silence, something shifted. Not in the market, in me. I wasn't new to this. I had 2 decades of experience. I knew technicals like the back of my hand. I could recite macro events by memory, draw Fibonacci levels in my sleep, and quote trading legends like scripture. But none of it mattered, because while I was treating trading like a sacred ritual, drawing trend lines with monk-like reverence, a new breed of traders was rising. They weren't studying for years or following gurus. They were barely out of college, sipping protein shakes and casually asking artificial intelligence for answers I was burning myself alive trying to find. And they were winning. At first, I laughed. AI? In trading? What could a chatbot know about price action, about fear, about conviction? It was just another hype wave. I told myself I was the real deal. I had earned my stripes. These kids were just lucky. But deep down, I was afraid. Afraid they weren't lucky. Afraid I was outdated. Afraid I was clinging to a dying edge while they built a new one. And that fear turned into something worse. Resentment. Not at them. At myself. Because I knew something was broken. I just didn't want to admit what it was. It wasn't the market. It wasn't the indicators. It was me. My psychology. My beliefs. My refusal to evolve. I was treating the market like it was 2010 while the world had sprinted into 2030. And for the first time in a long time, I felt lost. Not the kind of lost where you try a new system or tweak a strategy. No, this was deeper. Existential, the kind of lost where you question if everything you've learned was built on sand. I remember closing the charts that night and walking into the dark kitchen. My wife was asleep, my son's toys still scattered on the floor. I stared out the window into the quiet street, and for the first time, I didn't feel like a trader. I felt like a fraud. All the books, the backtesting, the sacrifices, and I was still stuck in a loop. Brilliant in theory, broken in execution. I knew the right answers, but couldn't live them. I preached discipline, but traded like an addict. I taught others to manage risk while quietly self-sabotaging my own account. That was my breakdown. But here's what I didn't know then. Sometimes breakdowns are invitations. Invitations to let go of pride, to burn the blueprint and start again, to stop pretending that more hustle equals better outcomes. Because if you're honest, you've felt it too, haven't you? That creeping frustration when you work harder but your results stay the same, when you do everything right and still end up in red, when your account balance whispers a truth your ego won't let you hear. It's not your strategy. It's not your intelligence. It's the way you're thinking. You're trying to beat a machine-age market with Stone-Age tools. You're trying to outwork algorithms with caffeine and willpower. You're trying to control the chaos using the same emotions that caused it. And maybe, just maybe, you don't need another course, another indicator, or another late-night breakdown. Maybe what you need is a new lens. Because when I finally got honest with myself, when I stopped pretending I had all the answers, I did something I swore I'd never do. I opened ChatGPT. I typed one sentence, analyze EUR/USD for tomorrow's London session. I didn't expect much. I wasn't looking for a miracle. But what I got wasn't just data, it was clarity. It gave me key levels, market correlations, sentiment shifts, But more than that, it explained why. It taught me, it thought with me, and something inside me lit up, not because I'd found a magic bullet, but because I realized I'd been fighting the wrong enemy this whole time. It wasn't the market that needed changing, it was me, my tools, my rituals, my mindset. That night didn't fix everything, but it cracked the door open. And once that door is open, it's impossible to go back. You start to see your patterns differently. You question your stubbornness. You realize discipline without evolution is just another form of denial. So if you're here watching this, feeling the weight of your own invisible losses, then maybe this isn't just a video. Maybe it's your invitation to stop trading like the old you, to stop pretending more effort will save broken thinking, to stop going to war without the weapons that actually work. Because trading isn't just about skill. It's about clarity, precision, adaptation. And that journey doesn't start with a trade, it starts with a breakdown. It didn't happen with fireworks, no epiphany, no holy light from the screen. Just one small, almost embarrassing sentence I typed into a blinking cursor. Analyze EUR/USD for tomorrow's London session. I didn't even expect a good answer. Part of me was still mocking the idea. Me, a seasoned trader, consulting a glorified chatbot, but I was desperate. And desperation has a strange way of cracking open the parts of us we protect the most. Our pride, our identity, our belief that we should have it all figured out by now. What came back from the screen wasn't just a response. It was a mirror. Support and resistance levels, yes. Risk to reward projections, sure. But then came something else. Context, explanation, clarity. It didn't just tell me where price might go, it explained why it might go there. Correlations I hadn't considered, sentiment factors I had overlooked. It wrote back to me in perfect trader speak, but in language so clear, so logical, I felt like I wasn't just reading an analysis, I was learning again. And somewhere between the fifth and sixth sentence, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. Not because I had found a magic bullet, but because, for the first time in a long time, I wasn't trading alone. I realized something in that moment, a truth so simple it hit me like a punch to the gut. It was never my skill that was the problem. It was my bandwidth. See, trading isn't hard because the market is evil. It's hard because the human brain was never built for this. We weren't designed to track 30 assets, 4 time frames, 3 news events, and our own spiraling emotions simultaneously. No amount of discipline can overcome that kind of overload. But AI doesn't blink, doesn't doubt, doesn't hesitate, it doesn't have trauma, doesn't get greedy, doesn't take revenge. And when you put that kind of cold, surgical intelligence next to your instincts, not above them, you don't just trade better. That's when the shift truly began. It started with ChatGPT, my strategist, my explainer, the patient professor who never got tired of my questions. Then I added Claude, the analyst, the critic, the voice that said, yeah, that plan looks good, but you're overexposed, again. Finally came Gemini, the watcher, the pulse. Real-time news without the noise, filtering out the static and showing me what actually mattered right now. Each one served a different role. Each one had a personality, not in attitude, but in function. Together, they became something more than tools. They became my second brain, and that changed everything. You see, before AI, trading felt like trench warfare. You fought inch by inch. Every chart was a battle. Every decision was a war between logic and emotion. You'd wake up drained, and even your wins felt heavy, like you were escaping disaster by a thread. But with AI, trading became more like a symphony. Not effortless, but elegant. You ask the right question, the right prompt, and the entire machine comes alive. It breaks down the noise, it finds the edge, it shows you how to think, not what to think. And slowly, that chaos in your head begins to quiet. But let me be clear about something. The shift isn't just technological, it's psychological. Because to use AI well, you have to confront something most traders spend years avoiding. The way you think is part of the problem. You can't just plug AI into a broken mindset and expect miracles. You can't ask vague, lazy questions and blame the machine when it gives you garbage answers. You have to learn how to think with it, how to guide it, how to collaborate. AI is not your savior, it's your amplifier. If you're afraid of the technology, it's probably because you're afraid of what it might show you, about your gaps, your blind spots, your illusions of control. But if you lean in, you'll see something incredible. All the discipline you thought you needed, all the focus you tried to force, all the edge you hoped to find was right there, waiting, buried beneath overthinking, smothered by noise, and now, finally, it can breathe. The shift begins when you stop asking, "Do I trust AI?" and start asking, "What happens when AI trusts me with the truth?" It tells you when your plan is flawed. It shows you where your logic breaks down. It gives you second eyes that don't blink. And over time, those little edge gains start compounding. You start entering later, not because you're afraid, but because you're precise. You stop forcing trades, not because you've lost confidence, but because you've found alignment. You take losses with clarity. You take wins with humility. You start becoming the trader you imagined when you first opened your first chart, not because AI fixed you, but because it removed the noise so you could fix yourself. So if you're still wondering what this is all about, if you think this is just another tool, another hype wave, another shortcut, you're missing it. This isn't about shortcuts. It's about vision. It's about bandwidth. It's about upgrading the way you think so you can finally trade like the person you know you are. You're not less of a trader for using AI. You're more dangerous than ever because now you've got precision without pressure, discipline without force, and edge without ego. The shift has already begun. The only question is, will you evolve with it or keep fighting ghosts with a sword while the rest of us trade with guided missiles? Every trader eventually learns that winning consistently isn't about knowing more. It's about seeing more, clearly, quickly, and without the fog of emotion. I used to think I could do that on my own. I believed that if I worked hard enough, read enough, sacrificed enough sleep, I'd eventually gain that mythical sixth sense of market intuition, the one where you just feel the perfect entry, the flawless exit, the momentum shift just before it happens. And then I met three silent partners who shattered everything I thought I knew about how to trade. They didn't scream. They didn't sell me a course. They didn't promise overnight wealth. They just listened, responded, showed me what I was blind to. Their names? ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. No, not software, not bots, not magic wands. But together, they became what I now call the trinity, the three minds I consult before I place any trade. Let me introduce you to each of them. First up, ChatGPT, the architect. ChatGPT is not your guru, it's your guide. The patient professor who takes everything you know, everything you don't know, and weaves it into strategy. I use ChatGPT like a scalpel to dissect, to clarify, to plan. You want to learn a new system? ChatGPT will walk you through it step by step. Want to validate a trade idea? It'll test your thesis, point out gaps, even suggest alternate perspectives. But here's the magic. It speaks your language. Whether you're a veteran trader or a complete beginner, ChatGPT adapts, not just what it says, but how it says it. It taught me that trading isn't just execution, it's articulation. If you can't explain your trade, you probably shouldn't take it. And ChatGPT makes you explain everything by simply asking back. Why this entry? How's your risk profile? What invalidates your setup? Suddenly, your trading becomes a conversation, not a monologue. And in that dialogue, your thinking evolves. Then comes Claude, the strategist. Where ChatGPT helps you think, Claude helps you refine. It's sharp, quiet, surgical. It's the friend who won't let you lie to yourself. Claude doesn't care how excited you are about a setup. It cares about logic, correlation, risk concentration. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't sugarcoat. It challenges. When I upload a chart and ask Claude, what do you see? It sees everything I miss, hidden divergences, volume shifts, correlated asset pressure I forgot to check. And when I say I'm thinking about entering here, Claude replies, you're 17 pips early based on the last 10 similar patterns. Not because it's smarter, because it's objective. Claude doesn't get euphoric. It doesn't get scared. It just runs the data, connects the dots, and hands you a decision tree free from emotion. That's what makes it dangerous. Not to you, but to your old trading habits. Claude taught me this. You don't need to be right to be profitable. You just need to stop being reckless. Finally, there's Gemini, the scout. Gemini is your eye in the sky, the one scanning the battlefield while you focus on your mission. If ChatGPT is your teacher and Claude is your tactician, Gemini is your intelligence officer. It tells you what's happening right now. Macro sentiment, breaking news, market mood, shifts in global momentum you can't possibly track alone. It doesn't drown you in headlines. It filters, it summarizes, it connects the dots you didn't know were even on the page. I ask Gemini each morning, what's moving the markets today? What's the risk sentiment across Asia and Europe? What assets are showing momentum across sessions? In 30 seconds, I get a pulse reading of the entire market landscape. And here's where the Trinity becomes something more than useful. It becomes unstoppable. I take Gemini's sentiment scan, run it through Claude's logic filters, then work with ChatGPT to formulate the trade plan. 3 different perspectives, one unified strategy. It's like sitting at a round table with 3 world-class minds who only care about helping you win. But let me be honest with you. You can't just throw prompts at these tools and expect magic. They're not oracles. They're not infallible. They reflect you. Ask vague questions, get vague answers. Ask lazy prompts, get surface level noise. But if you learn to speak their language, if you bring intention, precision, and curiosity to the conversation, what they give back will transform you. They'll amplify your strengths, expose your blind spots, and protect you from your worst instincts. Not because they're perfect, but because they don't lie to you like your emotions do. The Trinity doesn't replace your edge, it magnifies it. It's not about trading like an AI. It's about trading with one, or in this case, 3. And here's the thing nobody tells you. You don't need to be a coder. You don't need a PhD. You just need the willingness to ask, learn, and evolve. Because right now, while some traders are still fighting the market with caffeine and gut instinct, others are quietly collaborating with intelligence that never sleeps, never hesitates, never gets greedy. And the results, they speak for themselves. Smaller drawdowns, cleaner plans, greater clarity, and most importantly, consistency. So ask yourself, what would your trading look like with 3 assistants working around the clock, never tired, never emotional, never distracted? What could you achieve if your plan was triple checked before every execution? How much faster could you grow if your lessons came in seconds, not from months of expensive mistakes? Because that's what the Trinity gives you. Not just support, not just tools, leverage, psychological leverage, strategic leverage, intellectual leverage. And in the game of trading, leverage is everything. So if you're still flying solo, if your trades still depend on mood, memory, or guesswork, maybe it's time to stop playing all the roles and start conducting the orchestra. The Trinity is already here. They're waiting for your first question. The shift isn't coming. It's already begun. Let's take a breath, because up until now, we've talked about theory, tools, strategy, the mind. But the truth is, trading doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in real lives, real homes, real hearts. Behind every chart is a person. Behind every loss is a story. Behind every breakthrough is someone who finally stopped pretending and started evolving. This part isn't about systems, it's about souls. So let me introduce you to a few of them. Meet James, a 47-year-old father of 2. He's been trading Forex for 15 years. He knows his way on MT4 like a chef knows his knife. Every morning, he woke up at 5 a.m., scanned 28 currency pairs, checked the news calendar, marked up his charts, calculated pivot points, 3 hours of meticulous prep before London opened. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't reckless, he was disciplined, focused, and still inconsistent. One morning, his daughter, home from college, walked past his desk, saw the 6 open tabs, the cluttered notepad, the tired eyes. "Dad," she asked, "why don't you just ask AI?" James snapped, "Because I'm not lazy." But later that day, something about her question stuck. That night, curiosity got the better of him. He opened Claude, uploaded his chart screenshots, and typed a single sentence. Analyze these Forex pairs for optimal London session trades, considering recent economic data and technical structure. In 45 seconds, Claude spotted a hidden divergence on AOD USD he had missed, highlighted a high probability setup on GBP JPY based on Bank of Japan meeting minutes, and, most shockingly, pointed out a correlation between EUR GBP and oil prices that James hadn't considered in over a decade. The next morning, he followed the suggestions, stock on 127 pips, but the real win wasn't the money. It was the moment James realized his knowledge wasn't obsolete, it had just never been amplified. Now meet Lisa. She's 67, a retired school teacher. Lives alone in a small apartment in Ohio. Her pension wasn't enough, and her grandson had mentioned something called ChatGPT. She didn't know what a pip was, had never opened a trading platform. But one day, with trembling fingers, she typed, "I don't understand trading. Can you help me start with $100?" ChatGPT responded like a patient mentor. It suggested starting with EUR/USD, explained spreads, liquidity, and how to manage risk. They built a plan together. Her next question was cautious. "I see EUR/USD at 1.0850. Is this a good time to buy or sell?" ChatGPT replied, "What's your risk tolerance? What's your time frame? What are your goals?" They waited for 1.0835, set a stop at 1.820, a target at 1.0865. At 1:47 p.m., price hit the entry. Lisa took a deep breath, clicked buy. 2 hours later, target hit. Profit $30. She sat there and cried, not for the money, but because she had done something powerful, something new, something hers. She now trades daily, averages $200 to $300 per week, and runs a small online group helping other retirees learn AI-assisted trading. Because if she could do it, so can they. So can you. Now let me tell you about David. He's a construction worker, trades at night after his shifts. For years, he hovered at break even, sometimes up, sometimes down, always exhausted. His setups were good. His instincts weren't wrong, but something was off. He uploaded his last 20 losing trades to Claude and asked, "Why do I keep failing?" Claude responded, "Your directional bias is 73% accurate, but your entries are consistently 15 to 20 pips too early." David stared at the screen. Claude had seen something in seconds that he had missed for years, so he asked, "Show me what I'm missing." Claude highlighted subtle consolidation zones, minor volume anomalies, institutional accumulation patterns invisible to the human eye. David's next trade? He waited for confirmation instead of jumping early. On 40 pips. Clean. No stress. That night, he didn't just log a win, he logged a revelation. I was right all along. I just needed something, to show me when my right became executable. And then there's Sarah, single mom, works at the DMV, 2 kids, zero trading experience, no time, no energy, no margin for trial and error. One day, during her lunch break, she asked ChatGPT, "Explain Forex trading like I'm 10." Then she asked Claude, "Did I understand this correctly?" And Gemini, "What's happening in the markets right now?" Her first week, lost $50 learning. Second week, broke even. Third week, made $180. Now she makes $500, $800 a week, steadily, methodically, without gambling. "I don't code," she laughs. "I just talk to them like they're my genius friends who happen to trade." Because for her, they are. These are not outliers. These are not actors in some feel-good ad. These are real people. With bills, with fears, with full-time jobs, kids, doubts, and dreams. People who once thought they had missed their chance and then realized they were standing on the edge of a revolution. A revolution not of markets, but of mindsets. So if you're still doubting, still delaying, still waiting for a sign, this is it. Because the market doesn't care about your age, your background, your profession, your past mistakes. It only cares about good decisions. And when you combine your lived experience with intelligence that never sleeps, never forgets, never blinks, you start making better decisions, faster, cleaner, with clarity that used to take years to develop. The tools are here, the stories are real. The question is no longer, can AI help people like me? It's, what's possible when I stop doing this alone? Because Brad abdicated his responsibility. He stopped thinking and called it automation. Maria's story was different, but just as dangerous. She wanted to automate her trading with AI alerts. She found a prompt online that said, "Generate trade alerts based on all valid signals from this strategy." She plugged it in. That day, she received 847 signals, and she tried to trade all of them. No filter, no context, no structure. Her trading dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. She was clicking and placing orders faster than her brain could even register the setups. It wasn't trading, it was algorithmic gambling. By the end of the day, she was exhausted and down $2,800. AI didn't fail her. She failed herself by chasing quantity over quality. And then there was Derek. He had 2 great weeks in a row using AI, clean execution, solid gains, confidence rising, momentum building. Then came the thought, the most dangerous one in trading: this thing can't lose. So he increased his position size tenfold. Next trade, a clean loss, normal volatility, just one of those trades that doesn't work. But because he had broken his own risk parameters, that one trade wiped everything, minus $18,000 in 1 hour. He didn't just lose money, he lost trust in himself, in the tools, in the process. Overconfidence isn't cured by AI. Sometimes it's inflamed by it, if you're not careful. Let's be very clear. AI is a reflection tool. It amplifies your clarity, but also your chaos. It multiplies your logic, but also your laziness. It executes your ideas, but doesn't question your motives unless you program it to. If you come to AI with vague prompts, emotional energy, and no structure, you'll get beautifully packaged garbage, and you'll think it's wisdom. That's the real danger. You stop questioning, you stop verifying, you start believing everything the machine tells you. But here's the truth. AI doesn't know the market. It knows patterns. It knows data. It knows how to sound smart. But it doesn't know your capital, your risk profile, your emotional history, your strategy, your unique blind spots, unless you tell it. You have to guide it, train it, direct it. Because if you don't, it will hallucinate. Not because it's broken, a lazy question. I've seen traders type, should I buy this pair? And AI, trying to be helpful, says buy at 1.0930, target 10965, stop at 1.910. Sounds precise, right? Until you realize it has no idea what session you're trading, no idea what size your account is, no awareness of the news event dropping in 15 minutes, no understanding of your trading plan because you didn't give it one, and yet you treat it like gospel. That's how traders blow up, with full confidence in fabricated certainty. AI is not a magic wand. It's a mirror, and it reflects back exactly what you feed into it. Multiplied. Feed it clarity, it gives you insights. Feed it confusion, it gives you chaos. Feed it ego, it will cheerfully assist you in blowing up your account. That's the dangerous truth. So what's the solution? It's not to avoid AI. It's not to fear it. It's to respect it and master how you interact with it. That means asking better questions, not should I buy? But given this support level, recent volume shifts, and macro sentiment, what's the probability of continuation and what invalidates this idea? Not. Give me a trade, but help me assess this thesis. What are the risks, correlations, and optimal risk-reward ratios based on current volatility? Precision in language, precision in outcomes. And that's not just an AI rule, that's a life rule. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. AI is your partner, not your parent. It will not stop you from being stupid. It will simply help you be stupid, faster and with more data, unless you lead, unless you guide it, unless you treat every output not as a command, but as a collaboration, because that's what elite traders are doing. They're not using AI to escape responsibility. They're using it to amplify discipline, structure, and edge. And the ones who don't, they become cautionary tales. So before you ask the next prompt, take a moment. Check yourself. Are you looking for wisdom or an excuse? Because AI will give you either. You choose. By now, you've seen both sides of the story, the power of AI, the danger of misuse, the emotional roller coaster of trading in the modern era. So let's get grounded. Let's get practical. Let's talk about the system, because all the intelligence in the world means nothing without structure. That's the difference between using AI as a gimmick and building an edge that compounds over time. So here it is, my full AI trading system. No fluff, no hype, just the ritual that rewired everything. It begins every morning at 6 a.m., not because I'm a morning person, but because the market rewards preparation, not prediction. While most traders are rolling out of bed and reacting to headlines, I'm already locked in, not scrolling, not guessing, just executing the same process that built inconsistency. It's simple and brutal and beautiful. Step one, the pulse check with Gemini. Gemini is my intel officer. I open the tab and ask, summarize key global news events affecting Forex and risk sentiment in the last 12 hours. In seconds, I know what actually matters. No clickbait, no noise, just raw insight. Central bank updates, geopolitical tensions, surprise economic prints, liquidity shifts. Then I follow up. What are the current risk-on, risk-off sentiment signals across Asia and Europe? Now I understand the market's mood. I don't just see the headlines, I see how they feel across the globe. I screenshot my top 3 pairs and send them to Claude. Then I prompt, analyze these pairs for high probability London session setups, considering key technical structure, recent price action, and macro context. Claude goes to work. It highlights liquidity zones. It catches divergences I missed. It calls out weak support levels, decaying trends, and institutional footprints most traders will never spot. But here's where the magic really happens. What invalidates each of these setups? That one sentence changes everything because it forces Claude to think about risk, not just reward. It forces me to do the same. Step 3, strategic planning. With Chat, now I've got intel and technicals. Time to turn it into a plan. I asked ChatGPT, based on the analysis above, create a detailed trade plan with entry, stop loss, take profit levels, and contingency alternatives. Assume a risk tolerance of 1% per trade and max 2 positions. And it delivers a full breakdown, clear entries, logical stops, multiple profit targets, but more importantly, a rationale I can explain. And if I can explain a trade, I can trust it. If I can't, I pass. That rule alone has saved me more money than any signal service ever could. Step 4, synthesis, human machine. Now I take 5 quiet minutes, no screens, no charts, just paper and pen. I write one sentence. Here's what the market is telling me today. I do it before I trade. Why? Because it forces me to commit to one narrative, one idea, one thesis. Too many traders chase 3 different biases in one session. I trade one. The AI has done the heavy lifting, but I'm still the pilot. And pilots don't fly without a flight plan. Step 5, execution, with rules, not hope. Trades are executed with a preset size, never more than 1% risk, never more than 2 positions open, no exceptions. Before I click buy or sell, I ask ChatGPT, review this trade plan one last time. Does it align with all previous risk parameters and market context? If it finds something off, I fix it. If not, I pull the trigger. And then I walk away. Because good trading feels boring. It feels like discipline. It feels like restraint. AI doesn't just help me find better trades, it helps me avoid worse ones. That alone changed everything. Step 6, end of day debrief. At 6 p.m., I return. Win, lose, or break even, it doesn't matter. I open ChatGPT and ask, analyze today's trading decisions. What did I do well? What could have been improved? What patterns are forming in my behavior? The AI doesn't flatter, it doesn't shame, it just gives feedback. Pure, objective review. Some nights it says good entry but early exit, review your take profit triggers. Other nights, emotional overtrade after a loss, consider setting a maximum trades per day limit. And I listen, because this isn't just about making money. It's about becoming the kind of trader who deserves to. That's the system. 6 steps, 3 tools, 1 trader with 0 guesswork. And I'll be honest with you, I've never felt more confident. So more in control, more at peace. Not because I win every trade, I don't, but because every decision is backed by logic, structure, and a second brain that never sleeps. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. It means I don't need to be. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by charts, if you've ever hesitated, double-clicked, or stared at a candle for 20 minutes trying to feel the market, this system wasn't just built for me. It was built for you. The overwhelmed, the burned out, the hopeful skeptics still holding on to the idea that trading can be better. It can. It is. Right now. With tools you already have access to. AI won't trade for you, but it will trade with you if you build a system around it. And once that system is in place, there's no going back. The noise fades, the stress disappears, the process becomes simple, not easy, but predictable. And in a world of chaos, that's worth everything. You hear it all the time in trading circles. Go big or go home, shoot for the moon, 10x your account, or what's the point? But here's the truth nobody tells you. The traders who go big either disappear or they go broke. Because in the real world, wealth isn't built on jackpot trades. It's built on boring, repeatable wins. The kind of wins no one brags about on Twitter. The kind that look unimpressive on paper. Let me show you something. If you make just 0.5% per day, not every day, just on average, and you don't blow up, you don't overtrade, you don't revenge click into oblivion, you'll 6x your account in a year. That's right. Not because of leverage, not because of signals, because of math. That's the power of the compound effect. Tiny gains, stacked relentlessly over time, turn into something massive. But most traders never get there. Why? Because they're addicted to drama, to high-risk entries, to one big trade that changes everything. And that mindset is what keeps them stuck in the loop. But here's the shift. When you start using AI to structure your process, when you build systems that remove emotion and you start stacking small, high-probability trades, you unlock something far more powerful than adrenaline: momentum. Not emotional momentum, mathematical momentum. Every day you stick to the plan, every trade that hits your 1% target, every time you don't overtrade after a win, that's a brick. Brick by brick, you build something most traders never even glimpse: true consistency. Let me tell you about Jennifer. She's not a hedge fund manager. She's not a finance major. She's a bank teller. $32,000 per year. Single mom. Smart but overwhelmed. She didn't want Lambos. She just wanted options, extra grocery money, a cushion, maybe retire 10 years earlier. She started with $500. First prompt to Gemini: create a conservative trading plan for consistent small gains. The AI responded: target 0.5 to 1% per day, maximum 2 trades daily, stop trading after 2 consecutive losses, never exceed 1% risk per trade. She thought, that's it? No magic entry, no secret indicator, just structure. Month 1, $500 became $612. Month 2, $612 became $748. Month 3, $748 became $914. Small, quiet wins, no fireworks. But momentum was building. By month 6, she was at $2,000. That's when things started to feel different, because now her 1% trades were earning $20, not $5. Same setups, same risk, just more firepower behind each trade. And that's the beauty of compounding. It doesn't just grow your account, it grows your belief. By the end of year 1, $8,847. She had nearly 18x's to her original balances, not by swinging for the fences, but by bunting down the line every single day. Now, here's what most people miss. It wasn't the profits that changed Jennifer's life. It was what the process taught her: that discipline, systemization, and AI support could outperform excitement, instinct, and emotional highs every time. That when she focused on what she could control — process, risk, clarity — the results took care of themselves. And most of all, that success doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from removing the things that make you fail over and over. Let me ask you a question. What would change in your life if you made an extra $20 a day? Not $2,000, just 20. It sounds like nothing, but that's $400 per month, $4,800 per year, with compounding double that. Now stack that for 3 years. Now raise your base after every win streak. Now run the math. This is where most people stop, because it's boring. But if boring makes you wealthy and exciting keeps you broke, why are you still chasing excitement? Let's talk about you now. You've probably had big wins, but they didn't last, did they? Why? Because without structure, success becomes a coin toss, and no one builds a future on a coin toss. What AI gives you, what this system gives you, isn't just opportunity, it's repeatability. That's the edge. Not the 50% trade that triples your account. The 1% trade that shows up every day like clockwork. And when you combine that repeatability with restraint and let compounding do what compounding does, that's when the game changes. Not overnight, but inevitably. Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. But in trading, it's not just a wonder, it's your weapon. A weapon that works best when you stop chasing speed and start chasing consistency. Because in this game, the trader who grows slow and steady wins faster than everyone else. Not because they know more, but because they stop bleeding, they stop self-sabotaging, they stop over-leveraging, they stop acting on impulse. And once you stop the bleeding, profit becomes natural, growth becomes predictable, freedom becomes real. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'm only making $10 a day, it's not worth it, think again. That $10 is the seed. And every seed, when watered consistently, becomes unstoppable. AI won't give you the jackpot, but it will give you the process. And when you honor that process, even small wins become life-changing. There's a moment in every trader's journey where you realize it's not just about finding better trades. It's about becoming the kind of person who can execute them. You can have all the tools, all the data, all the AI in the world, but if your process changes with your mood, if your entries fluctuate with your fear, if your strategy dissolves the moment a candle spikes, then none of it matters. What separates consistent traders from everyone else isn't intelligence. It's ritual, deliberate repetition, structured intention, a rhythm so solid it protects you from yourself. But here's the catch, you have to build that ritual yourself. AI can help, but it won't do it for you. Let me take you through mine. It's not complicated, but it's sacred. Not because I worship the routine, but because I've seen what happens when I skip it. Let's break it down. 5:45 a.m. Wake, walk, silence. No screens, no charts. Just a few minutes to remember who I am before I become the trader. Because if I start the day in a reactive state, scrolling, comparing, consuming, I've already lost. I don't touch the AI yet, not until I've centered the human being at the heart of this system. 6 a.m., the Trinity comes online. 3 tabs, 3 roles: Gemini for global market sentiment, Claude for chart logic, ChatGPT for strategic orchestration. No distractions, just me and the machines, focused. I start with Gemini. Summarize overnight developments in Forex, equities, crypto, and risk sentiment. It gives me the pulse, the tone of the market. I ask follow-ups. What's risk on or risk off today? Which currencies are strongest and weakest right now? Any major volatility triggers in the next 4 hours? Now I know where the landmines are and where the clean paths might lie. Next, I open Claude. I upload 2 to 3 screenshots of the cleanest setups I see. Analyze these charts for high probability setups in today's London session. Highlight any divergences, structure breaks, or institutional price zones. Claude is my calm advisor. It doesn't care about my biases, it doesn't get excited, it just shows me what's actually there. I then prompt, what invalidates these setups? Where would risk outweigh reward? Because if I don't know where I'm wrong, I have no business trading. Then comes ChatGPT. Based on Claude's analysis and Gemini's sentiment, build 2 trade plans with entry, stop, targets, and rationale. Keep risk per trade under 1%. It responds like a general planning a battle, not hype, not signals, strategy, logic, purpose. I read every word out loud. Why? Because if I can't say the plan with confidence, I can't execute it with discipline. 6:30 a.m. The statement. This is the smallest but most powerful part. I write one sentence in my notebook. Today, I will trade according to. Some days it's what the market is giving, not what I want. Other days, the system, not my emotion. It's not just a sentence. It's a contract between who I am and who I want to be before the chaos begins. 7 a.m. execution window. The market opens. If a setup triggers, I enter. If it doesn't, I don't force it. That's the ritual. I've pre-decided, I've planned. Now I trust the process, not because it's perfect, but because it's stronger than my impulses. No reanalysis, no Twitter, no Discord. Once trades are placed, the screen goes dark. Timer set. I check back at a scheduled time, no sooner, because the longer I stare, the more I risk becoming emotional again. And I didn't build this ritual to babysit candles. 6 p.m. debrief and pattern recognition. I ask ChatGPT, review today's trades. What did I do well? What mental patterns showed up? What can I improve tomorrow? It responds like a journal that talks back. No judgment, just reflection. Some days it says, your execution followed the plan, discipline maintained. Other days, you hesitated on your second setup due to prior loss. Consider a reset mechanism. And I listen. Because that voice isn't trying to impress me, it's trying to improve me. That's the ritual. Start centered, analyze with AI, plan with precision, execute with discipline, debrief with honesty every single day. But here's the key to all of it. I didn't build this to become a machine. I built it so I could stay human in a market that punishes emotion. There's a myth that you have to become cold, robotic, unfeeling to succeed in trading. That's wrong. You don't need to lose your heart. You need to guard it with systems, boundaries, clarity. Ritual doesn't strip away your humanity. It protects it. It keeps you from chasing, from overcompensating, from revenge trading your way into another broken week. It holds space for you to be disciplined, not detached, strategic, not numb, consistent, not cold. That's what a ritual gives you. And that's what trading with AI, not blindly, but ritually, can become. You don't need to feel ready every day. You don't need to feel fearless. You just need to show up with a process stronger than your emotions. Because over time, ritual does something incredible. It rewires your identity. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Until one day you look back at the version of you who used to panic click entries, redraw trend lines 12 times, and pray to the market gods, and you don't even recognize them. Because now you don't react, you prepare, you don't hope, you execute, you don't chase, you wait, you think, you trade like a machine with a soul. Every trader fights two battles. One is against the market, fast, brutal, unpredictable. The other is against themselves, slow, silent, devastating. And the second one, that's the one that takes most traders down. Not the trend, not the indicator, but the voice in their own head whispering, you have to make this back. Don't miss this move. You were right last time, double your size. It's going to reverse, just wait, just hold. It's not just emotion, it's mental warfare. But what if you didn't have to fight that war alone? What if there was a way to stay calm, stay grounded, and stay rational, even in the middle of chaos? Not by suppressing emotion, not by pretending to be fearless, but by building something around you, something smarter, something objective, something that doesn't blink when the candle spikes. AI as an emotional firewall. Let me tell you about Rachel. She was a solid trader, good system, good entries, good instincts, until Brexit. One night of unexpected volatility wiped out 2 months of profit. After that, she couldn't hold a winner, closed trades too early, cut profits, let fear dictate everything. She didn't trust herself anymore. She wrote into the community, every time I'm in profit, I panic. I exit too soon. But if I'm in a loser, I freeze, waiting. I don't know how to trust my judgment anymore. That's when someone suggested this. What if you let the AI manage your exits? You focus on finding the setup. Let the machine handle the part where your emotions take over. It sounded insane at first, but she tried. She entered the trades, her job. AI handled the exits, its job. ChatGPT confirmed her logic, calculated stop losses, and set profit targets based on historical volatility and current sentiment. She made a rule: no override, no intervention. Once the AI decides, she steps back. Week 1, she felt like she was wearing a straitjacket. But something happened. Trades ran longer than she would have allowed. Stops held through the noise. Profits hit full target instead of being cut short by anxiety. Her average winner increased from 18 to 47 pips. Her average loser decreased from 45 to 22. Her win rate? Up 12%. She wasn't trading harder. She was trading with guardrails. And she said something that stuck with me. AI didn't just manage my trade, it managed me. It held my hand through the part where I used to fall apart. That's what an emotional firewall does. Not just block bad trades, but block bad impulses. It speaks up when your logic starts slipping. It reminds you of your plan, not your fear. It holds your rules steady, even when you don't feel like following them. You're still the trader, but now you have a co-pilot, one that doesn't panic, one that doesn't revenge trade, one that doesn't get tilted after a loss. Here's how I use it every single day. I ask Claude, if I take this loss, what's my next best move, based on probability, not emotion? I ask ChatGPT, I'm feeling revenge energy. Can you analyze the last 3 trades and remind me of my system? I ask Gemini, has market structure changed enough to justify a re-entry, or is this just fear of missing out? The answers don't coddle me, they ground me. Because when your brain is swimming in cortisol, dopamine, adrenaline, you can't see straight. But AI can. Think about this. You wouldn't drive 150 miles per hour on a mountain road without guardrails. You wouldn't fly a plane into turbulence without instruments. But most traders do exactly that. Every day. They trade with no emotional system in place. No structure to protect them when fear hits. No boundaries between the setup and the self-destruct button. That's why AI isn't just a market tool, it's a mindset tool. It reminds you of the logic when your brain gets foggy. It repeats the plan when you want to improvise. It blocks the spiral before it begins. Like a therapist that doesn't flinch. Like a friend who remembers what you said when you were calm and throws your own wisdom back at you when you're about to burn everything down. And here's what nobody tells you. You don't need to eliminate emotion to win. You just need to prevent emotion from hijacking the controls. AI won't stop you from feeling, but it can stop you from acting on feelings that sabotage your success. That's not weakness. That's power. The kind of power most traders never experience because they're too busy trying to white-knuckle their way through. But you don't have to anymore. You've got the tools. You've got the plan. And now, you've got a firewall. one that doesn't get angry, one that doesn't chase, one that doesn't care about being right, just being rational. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Not just the AI, you. You become the kind of trader who doesn't break after a loss, who doesn't flinch during drawdown, who doesn't lose days to shame or tilt or revenge, because now you have backup, you have boundaries, you have clarity. So the next time you feel it, that itch to click, that fear you're about to miss out, that rising pressure in your chest, don't try to suppress it. Just pause. Open your prompt window and ask the one question that rewires everything. What would I do right now if I wasn't afraid? Let AI answer, then let you decide. Because this is how the emotional war is won, not by force, but by truth, structure, and support. You never forget your first green week, not because of the money, but because of what it means. Because that week, where every day ends in profit or controlled break even, where you don't chase, don't panic, don't override the system, where you wake up Monday a trader and fall asleep Friday a different person, that week changes everything. It's not the outcome, it's the confirmation. The moment the fog clears and you realize, I'm not guessing anymore, I'm executing. I'm not surviving, I'm operating. I'm not trying to be a trader, I am one. Let me tell you about Tommy. Unemployed, degree in engineering, smart but shattered, lost his last job during a round of layoffs, had been trying to make it in trading for 18 months. Most days were chaos, trade after trade, indicator hopping, emotionally exhausted by Tuesday, broke by Friday. Then he stumbled onto our AI trading community. He didn't trust it at first. He said, I've already tried everything. This is probably just one more rabbit hole. But we told him, don't try to get rich. Just get green. For 5 straight days, 1 trade per day, follow the prompts, follow the plan, nothing else. He agreed. Week 1. Chaos, still overtraded, still impatient. No green week, but small progress. Week 2, slightly better, fewer mistakes, more structure, 3 green days, 2 red, still no breakthrough. Week 3, he started asking better questions like, Claude, what did I miss here? ChatGPT, am I forcing this trade? Gemini, what's the macro tone before I trade? Things clicked. Week 4, the moment arrived. Monday, plus 47 on Euro USD. Tuesday, plus 83 on gold. Wednesday, 22 on a controlled stop. Thursday, 91 on GBP JPY. Friday, plus 126 on Bitcoin. Net, $325. But that wasn't the victory. It was this. I stuck to the system. I didn't overtrade. I didn't chase. I didn't panic. And for the first time, I ended the week in full control of my mind. He screen captured every trade, logged every prompt, saved every AI-generated analysis. Then he asked ChatGPT, analyze my week. What changed? The response? You honored stop losses. You sized your positions based on plan, not emotion. You waited for confirmation, not hope. You didn't react. You executed. You stopped trading like someone hoping to win and started trading like someone who expects to. He printed that line, taped it above his monitor. 3 months later, 11 of 12 weeks profitable. Account up 340%, still small size, still humble process, but now he's dangerous. Not because he's reckless, because he's repeatable. That's the real win. Consistency isn't about perfection, it's about identity. Most people think a green week is about finally getting lucky. It's not. It's about finally becoming the kind of person who can make money without drought drama. The kind of person who doesn't sabotage success, who doesn't need to feel right to be profitable, who can sit still when others panic. The kind of person who doesn't need to prove anything anymore, because the results already do. You know what's crazy? Most traders never get here. They might hit big wins, but then they give it all back because they were never building a system, just chasing a feeling. But once you taste structure, once you feel what it's like to finish 5 days in the green and know it wasn't luck, wasn't hype, wasn't FOMO, you can never go back. Because now you're not just watching trades play out, you're watching yourself show up as the trader you promised you'd become. Let me ask you something. What would change in your life if next Friday your account was green and your mind was calm? What would it feel like to close the laptop and know that every click this week was intentional? Not impulsive, not emotional, but deliberate. What would it feel like to look in the mirror and say, this is who I am now? Not just once, not just lucky, but real, built, repeatable. Because that's what the first green week really is. Not a destination, but a rebirth. The first green week is 90% luck, 10% control. The second is 70-30. The third is 50-50. But by week 4, you've crossed a line. You've moved from chasing into owning, from hoping into knowing, and nothing's the same after that. Not your trading, not your confidence, not your future. Because now you've proven it to the only person who ever mattered, you. So if you're still fighting for that first green week, keep going. It's not about the number, it's about the shift from random to rhythm, from chaos to calm, from I trade to I am a trader. And that identity, it sticks, it deepens, it elevates everything, because once you become consistent, you become unshakable. Success leaves patterns, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. One strategy, one structure, one mindset. Used properly, it doesn't just work in one market, it works everywhere, because real edge, isn't built on secrets. It's built on discipline, logic, and repeatable thinking. And when you combine that with AI, suddenly your edge becomes portable. You're no longer chained to one market, you're running a machine, a multi-market machine. Let's talk about scaling. Not just scaling up your trade size, but scaling across entire asset classes. Most traders treat Forex, crypto, and stocks like separate universes. But they're not. They're different languages, yes. But they all speak price, volume, structure, and sentiment. And guess what? AI is fluent in all of them. Let me show you how I run it. Every Sunday night, I fire up my system. I prompt Gemini, give me macroeconomic updates and major catalysts expected this week across Forex, crypto, and US equities. It delivers the big picture. FOMC statement on Wednesday, Bitcoin halving cycle trend points, tech earnings in play on Thursday, Japan inflation print Friday night, oil supply shocks affecting CAD. That becomes my foundation. I'm not scanning charts blindly, I'm navigating narratives. Now I open Claude, I send, analyze these 3 charts, GBP USD, BTC USDT, and TSLA. Look for volatility zones, structure shifts, and high probability continuation or reversal setups. It breaks down each one. Clean, contextual, machine precise. Then I prompt ChatGPT, build a strategy for the week that includes 2 Forex trades, 1 crypto swing, and 1 stock options play. Include entries, exits, rationale, and risk management. It delivers a map, a logic tree, if-then scenarios, contingency plans, not signals, structure. Let me be clear. You don't need a different identity for each market. You need a unified system that adapts with intelligence, and AI is what allows you to carry that edge without carrying the stress. Forex, the disciplined playground liquid. Precise, structurally consistent, news-driven, but technicals still matter. Ideal for testing your system under clean, repeatable pressure. With AI, I filter through 28 pairs in under 5 minutes. Ask Claude, which pairs have the tightest structure and cleanest momentum on the 1H and 4H? Then ask ChatGPT, what setups align with both sentiment and structure? Now I'm only trading pairs that fit my edge, not my mood. Crypto, the emotion reactor volatile. Sentiment heavy 24/7 adrenaline, breaks structure more often but offers huge asymmetric reward. Most traders drown in noise, but with Gemini's help, summarize top crypto narratives this week. What's being priced in early? Now I'm trading ahead of the herd. Claude catches liquidity traps. ChatGPT helps manage risk around volatility. Suddenly I'm not gambling. I'm orchestrating chaos with clarity. Stocks, the strategy lab. Slower pacing, earnings season rotations, great for swing setups, options, or learning patience. Heavily macro and sentiment influenced. Here's how I trade it. Claude highlights breakout structures on large caps. Gemini gives me earnings and macro catalysts. ChatGPT builds my options thesis. If TSLA breaks $740 with volume, structure supports a 2-week call position. Create a trade plan using defined risk and exit at 2-1. Now I'm trading stocks with the same discipline I use in Forex. Same logic, same firepower, just different tempo. Here's what it all means. Markets change. Your system shouldn't. You need a strategy that adapts without collapsing. You need rules that flex but don't break. You need a partner that processes more than you ever could without emotion. That's what AI gives you. And when you align that with structure, you don't just survive multiple markets, you scale across them. Think of it like this. Forex sharpens your discipline. Crypto tests your emotional control. Stocks challenge your patience and narrative thinking. Master all 3, you're not just a trader anymore. At a slight, you're a multi-market operator. And that identity, it's rare, it's resilient, it's lethal. Lethal. I know what you're thinking. Won't it get overwhelming? Only if you try to do everything at once. But if you follow the system, one bias per day, one or two markets at a time. AI is the filter, not the crutch. You won't burn out. You'll level up because now you're not relying on volume. You're relying on selectivity. You're not looking for more setups. You're looking for the right ones across multiple asset classes. And when you catch them, your confidence grows, your range expands, your skill set compounds. That's how you go from part time trader to professional thinker with professional tools. So the next time someone asks you, what do you trade? You don't flinch, you don't fumble. You say, I trade systems, I trade discipline, and I scale my edge wherever the opportunity lives. Because now you're not married to one market, you're married to process, to precision, to performance. And with AI in your corner, there's no limit to where that edge can take you. At first, trading is something you do. It's a chart, a setup, a strategy, a few dollars won, a few more lost, and you tell yourself, one day I'll figure this out. You sit at your screen hoping for the moment it all clicks, the moment the chaos calms, the moment you stop feeling like an imposter. But then one day, you wake up and realize you're not just trading anymore. You've become a trader. And from that point on, everything changes. You start seeing life the same way you see the market, not as something to chase, but something to observe, to understand, to wait for. You stop forcing things, stop needing to be first, stop needing to prove your worth. You start breathing differently, you listen more, you speak less, because you've learned that real power is quiet. Trading teaches you something most people never learn, that discipline is freedom, that routine is power, that waiting is strength. You build systems not just in your charts, but in your days. Wake, move, prepare, execute, review, not just for your trades, but for your life. And the best part, it's not even about the money anymore. Yes, the money comes. Yes, your account grows. Yes, your results compound. But that's not the point. The real win, you finally trust yourself. You trust your thinking, your restraint, your rhythm. You stop looking outside for validation because you know who you are and what you're building. Let me tell you what that looks like. You wake up early before the noise, you light a candle, stretch, drink water, sit in silence. Then you ask Gemini, what's the tone of the world today? You ask Claude, what's the structure behind the chaos? You ask ChatGPT, what's the plan that honors who I've become? And when you enter that trade, it's not about money, it's about alignment. It's about proving to yourself, again, that you are in control. Then you close the laptop, you go for a walk, you call your mother, you play with your daughter, and when you come back, green, red, doesn't matter. Because now you trade without attachment, you live without panic, you move with intention. This is the final transformation. Not becoming the best trader in the room, but becoming the kind of person who doesn't need the room anymore. You stop looking for signals. You start looking for clarity. You start reacting. You start responding. You stop chasing opportunity because now opportunity chases you. Trading becomes meditation. Each candle, a breath. Each plan, a reflection. Each loss, a lesson. You no longer fear losing. You fear breaking your rules. And that shift is everything, because that's when it becomes life itself. A life where you think before you speak, wait before you act, analyze before you judge, and review before you repeat. You don't trade for dopamine anymore. You trade for process. You don't trade to escape your life. You trade to master it. Some people ask, doesn't using AI take the soul out of it? And I say, no, it reveals your soul. Because now you're not battling noise and ego every day. You're operating with clarity. AI doesn't make you a machine. It gives you the freedom to be more human, to think, to reflect, to choose. It becomes the mirror. And in that mirror, you finally see the person you were always capable of being. And when you see that person clearly, you stop quitting, you stop rushing, you stop sabotaging, because now every morning is a mission. Every trade, a ritual. Every review, a reward. Not for performance, but for integrity. And that's where we end this story. Not with a Lamborghini, not with a six-figure day, but with a quiet room, a clear plan, and a trader who finally says, this is me. I don't trade for escape. I trade for mastery. I don't chase the market. I respect it because I respect myself. So if you've made it this far, this isn't the end. This is the beginning of a career, a lifestyle, a philosophy. AI didn't replace your humanity. It helped reveal it. Now you think better, decide better, live better. Because now, trading isn't just something you do, it's who you are. You've made it to the end. And that says something, not just about your curiosity, not just about your interest in trading, but about your readiness. Because most people, they quit halfway. They nod, agree, and change nothing. But you're still here. Not because you're perfect, but because you're hungry. Hungry to stop sabotaging yourself. Hungry to trade with clarity. Hungry to become the version of you who no longer doubts their discipline. So now the question is simple. What are you going to do with this momentum? Will you go back to old habits, or will you finally build the system that serves your future? If you're serious, start now. Download the AI-powered trading ritual blueprint, link in the description. Next video, see how I run real trades across Forex, crypto, and stocks, step by step. And comment below, what part of your trading mindset are you ready to rewire? Hit subscribe, turn on the bell. This is Trading Psychology Stick, where we don't just teach strategies, we build traders. One decision at a time, one ritual at a time, one mindset at a time.